Welcome, welcome, my beautiful, amazing people, Nak Muay Nation. We have a very, very special guest today. A beautiful, beautiful man by the name of Sean Fagan, who has modeled Nak Muay Nation gear. You can check it out on the Nak Muay Nation shop. He's gone anywhere from doing video shoots, photo shoots, and we even had a special promo video, very well done by a producer named Paul Reaper Benashik, where he was wearing a female tank top as well, so you can judge for yourself. It was a well done video. And then we have Mia Kang on here. She's done some type of work as well. I don't know, some magazines like Sports Illustrated and Vogue or whatever they are that we're probably not as familiar with as you may be with Sean's work. But we are excited to have you nonetheless. Good to be back on here with Sean. And yeah, super excited. Some of the audience, just to introduce yourself, because yeah, those are amazing accolades. And on top of it all, you are also a fighter, which is definitely an oxymoron to your first profession. But I think all in all of these things stem from somewhere. They stem from your upbringing, and you started modeling at a very young age of 13. So I'm sure that also changed your childhood. So I think a lot of people would be interested in just hearing your backstory and how it shaped you to be the woman that you are today.
Yeah, well, so like you said, I started modeling when I was 13. But before that, I actually grew up as a really overweight and bullied kid. And when I was 13, I fell into eating disorders and halved my weight and got scouted as a model immediately. So from a really young age, I was, I saw that shallowness in people, how everyone treated me differently just because I was at a different weight. And literally the boys in my class who were bullying me were then asking me out to prom because all of a sudden I was on billboards, and it was kind of crazy. And then I spent the next 15 years traveling, living all over the world. I have a really great modeling career. But, as the years went on, it got worse and worse with the eating disorders, and, it led to anxiety and depression and all these things that I didn't even really realize that I was in, because it's just the bubble of the fashion industry, the entertainment industry in general. So I thought it was kind of normal. And then when I was 26 or 27, I had a meltdown. I was asked by a client to go 10 days of just liquids before a shoot, which is kind of normal. Fighters are probably yeah, it's like a weight cut. You know what I mean? But
that's an intense weight cut, though.
Yeah. But it was normal for us, actually. It's normal to be asked these things. And for some reason, my body and my mind had just snapped, and I'd had enough. And I think at 26, 27, people wanted me to look like how I was when I was 16, 17. And I think my body was resisting as well. And so I took a vacation. I've got a house in Thailand. And I asked for 10 days off to go out to Thailand and just relax. I ended up, going to a Muay Thai gym near me. I ended up moving in, and I ended up living there for 9 months. And it changed my whole life. And it not only, just made me happy and healthy, physically, with the training and learning to eat meals, something so simple as that. I never ate meals in my whole life. Learning about, just forgetting about my job and forgetting about the materialistic physical side of things, and just hitting stuff and feeling awesome every day, and focusing on the martial art and getting better and learning. And, it healed me. It really saved me. It really saved my life. And then I came back to the States, I'd say 50, 60 pounds heavier, happy, healthy. And I came back to my agency, my clients, to the industry, and I said, fuck you guys. Something needs to change. Something really needs to change in this industry, because this isn't healthy. And it's the healthy, confident woman that should be in billboards and should be in advertisements, not the skinny, insecure girl that's just trying to look like what she's being told to look like. So, yeah, I mean, I fight, I model. I really feel like now I can't do one without the other almost. Obviously, it's like a little bit difficult for people to understand because people are like, I don't get it, but how, you know what I mean? Like, how do you model, but you get hit in the face? And like, how do you can't, I have to be one or the other. But that's also something that I really advocate as well, is like being a multidimensional person, and you can do whatever the hell you want to do. You know, it doesn't need to make sense to people. You can be a model, an athlete, a mom, an entrepreneur, or whatever the hell you want to be, you know? And I think that's a really important message for women as well, because, you know, martial arts is a really male dominated sport and can be really intimidating. Like, I know even for me, just to walk into the gym filled with a bunch of like sweaty, muscular dudes with tattoos, like it can be intimidating. So, yeah, I guess that's my whole thing.
That's a really interesting story because of how the progression led you to Muay Thai. And it's even more interesting, like you said, how people probably like, how do you do both at the same time? And I'm kind of curious as well in regards to, are there any parallels to modeling in Muay Thai at all? Or is it like a whole type of yin and yang type of thing where they're pretty separate with very small similarities?
It's pretty, for me, it's kind of like a yin and yang thing. I think that the modeling world is so narcissistic, right? And it's so egocentric. And martial arts and Muay Thai is the complete opposite of that. It's like not having any ego at all. But 100% self-confidence. Like every time you step in front of an opponent, you have to be 100% self-confident. If you doubt yourself, if it's just 99%, you're probably going to lose that fight. And it, you know, that comes with knowing yourself, knowing your strengths, knowing your weaknesses. Like there's just so many levels and things that I'd learned from Muay Thai that I could apply to my life. One of them being that self-confidence. Like, I'm sure you guys know what I mean, you know, when you're just in the zone and you don't think about anything else. There's nothing holding you back. And trying to achieve that and have that and apply that to the rest of your life, is amazing. That's something so great that the sport taught me, that helped me get over these insecurities that were weighing me down. Because, you know, before that, from the outside, my life looked perfect. It looked like I was this Sports Illustrated model and billboards everywhere, and I was, you know, flying private jets and drinking champagne and whatever, but I hated myself. Like I could say that for the first 27 years of my life, I never once woke up, looked in the mirror, and liked what I saw. Because I constantly, since I was 13, people were telling me, your thighs are too big, do this, you do that, you need to lose a centimeter off your hips, you need to have, like, I hated myself. And through Muay Thai, did I only really learn real self-confidence and learning to I'm not going to say let go of your insecurities, but like learning to get comfortable with them because they're not going anywhere, knowing your strengths and your weaknesses and things like that. So yeah, I forgot the question. I feel like I just
No,
really
that's perfect because you're explaining your experiences and those realizations that I feel like only take years to actually happen. They take those experiences and you describing early on at a younger age, just because of your status, people just changing the way that they look at you, the way that they talk to you, how they want to befriend you. And I'm sure that once you got in the business and just how you speak of the business now, just the kind of image that you portray of it, obviously you're very reflective and conscious of what the business is actually doing versus, you know, what everyone is able to see on social media, on the billboards and things like that. So how has that progress throughout the years? Like, how were you able to deal with that, let's say in high school, when those things were happening, and what were those feelings that you went through, and how were you able to overcome them? And then I'm sure there was a whole new set that came when you became older, and then obviously right now that you went through the whole process.
I mean, honestly, I spent my whole life just trying to be what everyone was telling me to be, and to look how everyone was telling me to look. And even as a model, you're told to just kind of shut up and be pretty. Never say your opinion, just be quiet and smile. And like I also made sure that I got my education. Like I got my degree and my master's degree, and I have thoughts and opinions, and I've never used them or never, you know, just because I was trying to be what everybody told me to be, until through Muay Thai did I realize, hold on one second, why am I like, who's making these rules? Like why am I trying to fit in? I think I really found myself and really learned to be unapologetically myself. Like, just I am who I am and stop trying to fight it. And I think that's really cool. I think that's a really cool thing about Muay Thai as well, is that I spent so long trying to mimic the exact technique of the Thais, which is so hard to do. And like, but like, I'm going to say like pretty impossible. Like I know maybe 2 non-Thai people that actually look like, and even still, it's not even like, you know what I mean? And I realized like everybody has their own technique and everybody does things their own different way. And it's stop trying to be something like get rid of the standards and the boxes that we're all trying to fit in. I think that applies to everything. So that was something really cool that I went, like, I remember like crying because I had like 2 weeks straight every day trying to do a left kick, trying to make it look perfect, trying to make it, you know, until I realized like, I just have a weird left kick, like just, like, just deal with it. And I think that was kind of the same thing that I went with my body, with my whole life, with who I am. And I really, like, I wish I'd found this at a younger age, for sure. And I'm definitely going to put my kids through martial arts for sure, because I think there's some really awesome things to learn that you can apply to your whole life.
Having this security now within it all. I mean, even looking through, you know, the photos to be able to let people know about this, and just kind of researching a little bit more information on yourself. I mean, you have people that just completely love you. And then there are people, most of the time, there are people that are very insecure themselves, especially if you look into their profiles. It's a very common thing where if the hate comes, any kind of negative comments that come out, and you click on their profile, usually it's someone, either a private profile with a picture of someone else. Yeah. Or it's them living like in the middle of Siberia with like 16 followers, and they're very, you know, they're out of shape themselves. They're not really doing anything with their own life. So how are you able to deal with that? Because obviously it comes in levels, especially in the beginning. Like, not enough people are able to know, so you don't hear as many opinions. But once you get to a certain level, everyone has an opinion. And then especially now, because you're entering a completely new profession, but you're already very successful at something else. So you have this huge spectrum of people that follow you, and then they see you in this new thing that you're still obviously advancing and starting to get good at and trying to make proficient. But there are so many people that already have such high expectations. So you are going to get that mix of opinion. What do you do with those comments? What do you do with people's opinions now?
It's tough. It's really tough. And I actually see why, like, you know, a lot of celebrities completely go off social media and things like that, because it's really tough. And unfortunately, I know this might sound like whatever, but social media makes people think that everyone's opinion matters, you know, because we can all comment and we can all click and we read them. But the reality is, like, I wouldn't walk down the street and ask every single person what they think about my outfit. You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't matter. But we get so focused on it. And we get really focused on when there's, you know, 100 amazing compliments, and then one guy comes and says something crazy. We really focus on the negative, and it is really tough. I mean, it depends. Sometimes I really police my shit, and I was a victim of bullying as a kid, and I think that this is it's cyberbullying. Like, this weird internet trolling is a form of bullying, so I don't tolerate it at all. And I love blocking people. That's like, I get like a kick out of it. Like, that I have like hundreds of people blocked. Like, you say something even slightly wrong on my page, I'm like, block. Like, it's the one power that we have to control our shit. And, you know, I want to keep my space like a positive space where people can feel free and they don't feel judged. And I do try my best, but the fight community are particularly aggressive. Like that is for damn sure. And I mean, if you really, I was really shocked when I first like, you know, started doing fight like press in a way, that the comments of people are just insane. Like I don't know, they're so quick to, they're just an aggressive community, but maybe more aggressive than the fashion community. So yeah, I mean, it's tough. You just gotta remember that I mean, it doesn't matter what anybody thinks of you except yourself. And like, I know so much of the fight community is like, I don't understand you. Like, you can't be a real fighter. Like, you know what I mean? Just because I'm not the fighter that they've used to seeing, if that makes sense. But again, it's this
totally
whole
does.
of like not fitting into a box, and like people reject what they don't know, and you just have to forget about the boxes and do your own thing and do you. And it is hard to balance things. It's really hard, especially as things get busier, and it's mostly like the scheduling, like being able to train for fights. Like I've had 2 fights scheduled and had to pull out days before twice. And it's again, like, you don't want to post things about it. You don't want to share too much. You don't want to, like, it's all with social media now. It's so weird, but it's tough. I remember I was like up 4 days before a fight and I pulled out, and I think I tweeted about it or something.
Yeah, it doesn't go over well in the fight community.
Yeah, it was a photo shoot came up that I would have been a complete idiot to have turned that money down. And so would anyone else, by the way. Anyone else was offered the same thing. Anyone would have done it. And I think I tweeted about it, and people were just like, "You're a bitch. Like you're a wuss. Like you're pathetic." I was like, "Oh my God." I think I deleted it straight afterward because I was like, what's wrong with people? Like, let me live my life. Like, why I don't know. It baffles me sometimes, but it is not easy. I had like a little rant last night. I like clap and so I either block people and ignore it, or if I'm in the mood, I will clap back so hard that like I'll make you want to quit the internet. Like I will, like I can either go one or the other. It's like dreams.
So I'm interested to hear a little bit more about how you went from Muay Thai back to modeling after you gained some weight, after you had this new sense of confidence, going to the business that kind of stripped the confidence away from you ever since the beginning. How was it like going back to that industry? Mm-hmm. And did they take you in with open arms, or was there a lot of conflict getting back into the things that you were doing modeling?
Yeah, there was a lot of, it was a gamble. That's how I saw it. The good thing though is that with the help of Muay Thai, I was so confident in the woman that I was and that I am, that I knew that modeling is my job. It's not the be all and end all of my existence. You know, it's just something that I do. It's not who I am. So I knew that if it didn't work out, then I can do something else. Like I have an education, I have a brain, you know what I mean? I can, whatever I want to do, I can do. And I truly believe that, because who the hell would have thought that I would become a martial artist or Muay Thai? Like the fact that I had done that was enough for me to believe that I can do whatever I want to do. But it was tough. I lost a lot of clients. I lost a lot of money. I lost, and I still am. I'm still fighting this battle. It was at a time, and is at a time where people want change. I mean, even if you look at the success of women like Ashley Graham, and the fact that now we have like a thriving plus size industry and more representation like that, I think that it's a good time. But because I'm not fashion model size, and I'm not plus size. I'm in between, which is actually what most women are. Right. And there's no space for me in the industry, is what I was told, and is what I still get told today. So basically it's walking into rooms every day and trying to change people's minds, trying to expand their horizons of what beauty is. And that's still what I do today. And I'm so thankful for the people and the brands and the agents and things that do stand behind me and agree with what I represent, and which is really essentially like health and
That's huge, because there's so many people like yourself. There's so many people that can connect to that, but I feel like it takes someone that's had the perspective of both sides, someone that's been there to be able to speak for those people. And that kind of rewinds back to what you were saying. People don't want to hear about your modeling career from the fight community, because they're so involved, let's say, in the fight community, and then you pull out of a fight. They can't understand the offers that are being made because they were never in that spot themselves. And the same thing happens. It's very common. People just like that romanticism. Me and Sean have spoken about this on the podcast multiple times. People like this romanticized version, and they really like, unless you're doing it a really shitty way and like you're getting fucked up throughout everything, it's not a sexy enough story for them to really hear it. And it's something as simple as like, oh, you see like the sakyan on me, and a lot of it was done in temples. Some of it was done, let's say, in a shop. And unless you had it done like the original way, I've had most of mine done in like temples and by a Najarn or whatever, but I would hear like a friend of mine is like, oh no, I got mine done in a shop, and people kind of roll their eyes and like scuffle or laugh or do whatever. It's like, oh, you didn't do it the shitty raw way where they dip it in the urn that 100 other people got stabbed with. Right. You didn't take the risk of getting HIV, so you're not worth the ink yourself. You know, everyone wants to see it, but not everyone wants to actually do it. But, you know, if you're going to tell the story, they want to hear the, you know, sexiest, most rough version of it possible. But unless they've had perspective from every angle, then it's like seeing someone at the end of their day, you don't know what happened throughout their entire day for them to be acting the way they do.
Right. It's just we're just so quick to judge, and and it's weird. And I realized that with fighting too. Like, it's so easy to sit on the side of a ring or on the side of the cage and be like, he should have done this. Why didn't he throw that kick? Why didn't he? Oh, he's trash. Why didn't he? But when you're in there, then you're like after I did it, I was like, I will never sit on the side and judge ever again. Like, you know what I mean? Just as a community, we're so easy to judge, and it's totally wrong. But
I have a quick question in regards to sorry to cut you off, Paul, in regards to your fight preparation and your fight camp. What was that whole experience like for you? Because obviously training Muay Thai for fitness and fun is one thing, but then training Muay Thai while you're living at a gym and training full time is a whole different story. What was that whole experience like, and how did you grow from that experience?
I don't really know how it happened, because I just found this sport. It was amazing. Loved the gym, moved in, and then I didn't even realize that I was training on the level of like a pro fighter. Do you know what I mean? I was just there, loving it, loving my recovery, loving the journey that I was on. And then all of a sudden I realized, like, holy shit, I'm like, you know, running and training twice a day and doing this whole thing. And I didn't even realize that I'd gone there. It was just like, it meant so much more to me. And even now I still go back and I still stay at the gym and I still do, like, I don't know. It's a weird, I never saw it as like fight camp, if that makes sense. For me, it was like this cool place with like, they're like my family, and like, I don't know. I never saw it. It never seemed grueling. It still never seems grueling. It still never seems like work. It's still this awesome journey that I'm on, that I'm learning from. And I don't know, I never see it as like I'm going into fight camp now.
So seeing
I
as
just,
what are
yeah.
your sights set on now? I've even heard that you're doing a little bit of jiu-jitsu, looking into the future. So what does it hold for you now?
More fights for sure, and definitely more fights in Thailand, because that is a whole other experience. And being able to get into the ring in Thailand with a Thai girl who's done this since she was 8 years old, like there's so much to learn. And obviously, because I can't just fight when I want to because of my other work, that when I do it, I do want to learn as much as I can. And like I've explained, martial arts is so special to me, and it's so like precious to me, that I was like, I'm so down to try more, to see what jujitsu holds, to see wrestling and things like that. So yeah, I'm giving it a go, and we'll see what happens. Like I always say, we'll see what happens. I'm not the kind of person to just do things and just be okay. I tend to do things and do it till the end, and do it all the way. Go big or go home. So yeah, we'll see. I don't know.
That's part of
Just take
the
it day by day.
future. But you must have some projects coming up. I know we were hearing some stuff about you being able to do a camp, be able to talk with some of your fans, some of the people that are following the journey along and seeing where you're progressing. And now I guess you're taking the step to the next level. So what are some of the projects coming up in both your personal life and fighting?
So I have the pleasure of being able to host my own Muay Thai retreat, which is really special for me. I partnered with this group called 109 World, who run retreats all around the world, in different countries, different cities, for different causes. And I had the pleasure of going on one of their retreats that they had in Phuket. And it was all women, and I hosted a couple Muay Thai classes for these girls, and it was unbelievable. It was really, I like the response was unbelievable. It was just such an impact. Like, I watched these women leave and they felt more badass than they did when they walked in. You know what I mean? And it was a really cool experience. So I went back to 109 World and I said, I want to do my own full Muay Thai retreat. So August 9th to 14th in Koh Samui, near you, where you are now, I will be hosting an all women's, well, I say all women, it's a women empowerment Muay Thai retreat. But if dudes want to come, like, I'm not going to say no. But it's really
I'm empowered from this interview, so I might show up.
Yeah, I mean, like, it's
Muay Thai
actually
guys
open
there.
to everyone, but it's it's open to anyone. But it's about I just want to focus on making women feel empowered. And like I said, Muay Thai is a real male-dominated sport. And it's an intimidating environment. So a lot of chicks won't even try it. You know what I mean? So I just wanted to create a cool, safe space where women can come, they can try, we can spend, you don't even have to do it if you want to. You just go spend a week in Thailand and we'll have fun. And, there's yoga involved as well. And yeah, it's just a really cool week. So I have the pleasure of doing that with the Thai Tourism Board. So that's going to be really awesome. I think Thailand in general is just a really special place. It's somewhere that I've never been anywhere like it in my life. And I think that, yeah, it's a cool thing for people to experience for sure.
Yeah, one of the coolest things that I've done is host similar retreats and camps, because you see this transformation of people like right in front of your eyes in as little as a week, and all it really takes is just showing them a beautiful environment, showing them a beautiful martial art, and just making sure that they're taking care of themselves, participating in group discussions, and just having a good time and not having to worry about their ego or trying to be someone they're not. And I think it's a beautiful thing you're doing, because it'd be kind of weird if I were to do a women's empowerment retreat. You know what I mean? So it's good to have someone in your situation to do it, because I think it can be, I think people will resonate with your message and how you went through this whole progression of becoming a model at a young age, being bullied, being tormented, essentially having the eating disorders, and then finally overcoming them through Muay Thai. So yeah, I'm really excited to hear more about it. And just out of curiosity for people who are interested in coming, what is like a retreat going to be like? What can they expect on a day-to-day basis if you were to like break it down into like a daily schedule?
So we get up and you go for your morning training, which is like 8 to 9:30. If you want, you can run before. If you don't have to. Afterwards, we have like 45 minutes of yoga. Then you have the day to yourself to do whatever you want. There's lunch. Every meal is provided. It's up to you if you want to come, if you want to eat with people, if you want to eat alone, if you want, everything is optional. You do as much or as little as you want. Then we have afternoon training, which is probably like 4:30 to 6:30, and then dinner together. And again, you don't have to come, but during these dinners, I generate conversations and bring up topics. I want to focus on, body image stuff and insecurities and things like that, because I think there's something really powerful that needs to be said, and conversations need to be had with women and body issues, and things like cellulite, like dumb shit like cellulite. Like we all worry about it. We all try and hide it, yet we all have it. Like, why are we, do you know what I mean? And I think women speaking up about things makes each other feel better and realize we're all going through this together. And that's something really cool about about fight camp and about training out in Thailand that I experienced as well, is that you meet a complete stranger and you train together for a day, a couple days a week, and you're bonded already more than, you know what I mean? Like, you don't start and meet someone at a 0 and work your way up. And for some reason, when you train together, you start at a 6 and you get, because there's this bond of like getting your ass whooped together, and like, you know what I mean? It just creates this like super cool harmony between people that I'm really excited for people to share on this. And I think that having conversations, discussions, meals together, breaking bread together can like, we can talk about some really cool shit. So, yeah, so that's
that 100%. Having traveled there, as Sean said himself, that was one of the most rewarding experiences, is hosting these camps. And I have one more question before we close it off, but as we're going through the topic, where can people find information on this camp, just to be able to see through the schedule and maybe sign up?
All the information is on, I might be wrong, but it's 109world.com.
Well, we have Google, so
just Google 109 World, and there you go. All the information's there. You can sign up. Like I said, it's not specific to women. Anyone can come. It's just like I'm calling it a women empowerment retreat because there's certain things that I want to focus on, but it's open to everyone and anyone. No judgment, no bullshit. Just, we're gonna have a really fun.
Perfect.
Yeah.
All right. We'll make sure to link that up in the description. So if you're listening in the iTunes, check it out in the description, so we can add the link to it, the correct link. If you're having a hard time following, if you're in your car, try to write it down if you're in your car, or listen to it back when you get home. And one last thing, because I work with a lot of clients, a lot of them being female clients. I think a lot of that comes from the fact that they don't feel as judged, and I am a rather like straightforward technical instructor, but I have definitely a lot of which come from places where they felt very uncomfortable, where the trainer was very aggressive, let's say, or the trainer was involved in them and maybe they were turned down for some reason, and now the relationship has grown to being something very toxic. And a lot of female fighters deal either, with those common things that you just described, like body image issues while in the gym and being surrounded by a bunch of muscular, tattooed guys, I don't know who you're talking about, but and but bringing it back, like what is the best piece of advice that you can give just from your experiences of, especially living in the gym? Obviously you are surrounded by these people, of just handling those relationships with the trainers and training partners and making it as healthy as possible. From my experience from the side and from what I've been told by the females, I think a lot of the time it's I guess voicing what your goals and intentions are before anything even begins, so people don't build a false sense of what is happening.
Yeah, I think that's really important as well. I think it's saying what you want from this. Like, I know, if you're like, I want to train to fight, or if I wanted, like knowing what you kind of want with your trainer. But I think a lot of what I learned is I would watch the little Thai kids who get like asked, who get told to do like thousands of kicks and whatever and all that, and they don't complain and they don't bat an eyelid and they don't, they get told they're doing things wrong and they don't sweat it. I realize like so much of it is just really not giving a fuck. Like when people, it's like, I don't know, it's like a weird separation. It's the separation between emotion and sport and sport and fighting. I think there can be a real separation. I don't know if this is making sense. Suddenly I don't feel so articulate, but I don't know. I think there needs to be a separation. That's something that also Muay Thai is still teaching me, is that you can be emotional when you fight, but you'd fight much better if you aren't. And I think
in Thailand, did they even score you on the fact of like whether you show the pain, facial recognition that they did hit you, and if you don't, and if you show fatigue, if you show that you actually don't want to fight. I've seen guys be outscored, but literally the other person just showing that they're fatigued, especially in the later rounds, and even though they might be outscoring, the other fighter being able to get the victory. Very unlike the West.
Mm-hmm. I think the same thing applies to all fitness and all training, is that separation of ego. And if your trainer's a little bit mean to me and you feel like, oh, you know what I mean? I think there's a real separation with sport. And if you, I don't know, that's my opinion. I don't know if any of that made any sense, but hopefully
Well, I appreciate your opinion, because usually it's us rambling and not making too much sense, but I feel like you were able to put the words together enough.
I joined right in. I came in and I rambled.
The Muay Thai guys and the Mia.
Guys do. Yeah, we all get hit in the head. It's fine. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, it's all part of the process. But we really appreciate you taking the time and coming on the podcast, because I've been interested in your journey, and it was great to actually talk to you in well, not in person, but via whatever program we're using, and just to hear more about your story and your mission, what you're trying to do with other women. I think it's great, because my fiance, for instance, she deals with a lot of body image issues as well. She's always complaining about her cellulite, and I know that this type of women's empowerment retreat is something that is much needed in the fitness and the women's world. And I'm really wishing you the best of luck. And just wrapping up here, do you want to have any last words to say to anybody, any sponsors or people you want to give a shout out before we sign off?
No, shout out to you guys for having me on the show. And that's about it.
Thank you. Well, yeah, like I said, appreciate everything you're doing. If you're listening to this, make sure you go to 109world.com to find out more. And yeah, hopefully that retreat will fill up. We'll hear more about it, and you'll be doing more and more all around the world. So best of luck.
Thank you. Thank you, guys.